All right, folks, buckle up. We've all been there, right? Hailing an Uber after a long day, hoping for a nice, relaxing ride home. But sometimes things get a little interesting. You know what I'm talking about, those moments that make you go, did that really just happen in my Uber? Well, today, we're diving into the top 5 things you absolutely do not want to see during your Uber ride. We're talking about those red flags, those little warning signs that make you question everything you thought you knew about ride sharing. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? First up, and let's be honest, this one's a no-brainer: distracted driving. I'm talking full-on texting, scrolling through Instagram, maybe even catching up on a little light reading while behind the wheel. Now, I love a good book as much as the next guy, but there's a time and a place, people. And that place is most definitely not the driver's seat. Look, I get it. We live in a world of constant connection, and it's easy to get sucked into that little screen. But when you're responsible for the safety of yourself and your passengers, putting the phone down is non-negotiable. It's not just about following the rules, it's about basic common sense and respect for human life. Imagine this: you're cruising down the road, enjoying the scenery, when suddenly you notice your driver's eyes glued to their phone. The car starts to drift, maybe a little too close to the vehicle next to you. Suddenly, that relaxing ride turns into a white-knuckle experience. Not exactly the vibe we're going for, right? First and foremost, don't be afraid to speak up. A simple, "Hey, could you put the phone away please?" can go a long way. Remember, your safety is paramount. If you feel uncomfortable at any point, you have every right to end the ride and find a safer alternative. And hey, if you witness some seriously reckless driving, don't hesitate to report it to Uber. Let's keep those roads safe for everyone, eh? All right, moving right along to our next Uber no-no: broken or malfunctioning seatbelts. We've all been there, right? You hop in the back, reach for the seatbelt, and nothing. It's jammed, frayed, or just plain MIA. Now, I'm all for living on the edge, but when it comes to something as important as a seatbelt, there's no room for compromise. Seatbelts save lives. It's not just some arbitrary rule dreamed up by the fun police. It's a simple piece of equipment that can be the difference between walking away from an accident and, well, something far worse. So, if you find yourself in an Uber with a dodgy seatbelt, don't just shrug it off. Take a moment to check the other seatbelts in the car. If they're also on strike, it's time to politely excuse yourself and request another ride. Your safety, your call. Okay, picture this. You're all settled into your Uber, ready to relax and enjoy the ride, when suddenly your eyes are drawn to the dashboard. And what do you see? A scene straight out of a Christmas light factory, with warning lights flashing like a disco ball gone haywire. Now, I'm no mechanic, but I'm pretty sure that's not a good sign. I mean, we've all seen enough action movies to know that when those dashboard lights start flashing, it's usually a prelude to some high-octane car chase, or worse, a fiery explosion. Okay, maybe I'm being a tad dramatic, but the point is, those warning lights are there for a reason. They're like the car's way of saying, hey, something's not quite right here. You might want to get this checked out before I transform into a giant metal fireball. So the next time you're in an Uber and spot a rogue warning light or 2 or 5, don't hesitate to politely inquire about it. A simple, "Hey, I noticed the check engine light is on. Is everything all right?" can go a long way. Now, this next Uber no-no is a bit more subjective, but trust me, it's a big one: overpowering scents. We've all been there, right? You step into an Uber expecting that neutral, inoffensive car smell, and bam! You're hit with a wall of fragrance that could knock out a small elephant. I'm talking about those air fresheners, those little dangling wonders that promise to transport you to a tropical paradise or a field of freshly bloomed lavender. But instead of a relaxing olfactory experience, you get an assault on your senses that leaves you gasping for air. Look, I'm all for a pleasant-smelling car, but there's a fine line between subtle freshness and olfactory overload. And let's be honest, some of those air fresheners are so potent they could clear out a sinus infection from a mile away. Now, I know what you're thinking, James, you big softy, it's just a little scent. What's the big deal? And you know what? For some people, it might not be a big deal. But for others, it can be a real headache, literally. Strong scents can trigger migraines, allergies, and even nausea in some people. Politely ask the driver if they wouldn't mind toning it down a bit. Maybe suggest cracking a window for some fresh air. A little laughter can go a long way in diffusing an awkward situation. Alright folks, we've arrived at our final Uber no-no, and it's a real doozy trash and clutter. Now, I'm not talking about a stray receipt or two, I'm talking about a full-on garbage extravaganza. We're talking fast food wrappers, empty coffee cups, rogue French fries, and enough crumbs to feed a small family of ants. It's like stepping into a time capsule from a particularly messy Tuesday afternoon. Now I get it. Life happens. We're all busy, and sometimes keeping our cars spotless falls by the wayside. But there's a difference between a lived-in car and a rolling landfill. When you step into an Uber, you're essentially entering someone's mobile office. And just like you wouldn't conduct a business meeting in a dumpster fire, you shouldn't have to endure a ride in a car that looks like it hasn't seen a vacuum cleaner since the dawn of time. If the mess is truly unbearable, you can always politely excuse yourself and request another ride. And there you have it, folks. The top 5 things you definitely don't want to see during your next Uber adventure. Remember, a little awareness and a healthy dose of common sense can go a long way in ensuring a safe and enjoyable ride for everyone. So, next time you're hailing an Uber, keep your eyes peeled, your seatbelts fastened, and your air fresheners in check. And if all else fails, just remember, you can always request a new ride. Stay safe out there, folks, and happy Ubering. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this wild ride, give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and keep those Uber rides classy.